Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Video Game Archives, the podcast. So, in this podcast, I think we're going to switch it up a little bit. I think we're going to start doing a longer podcast on fewer topics. So maybe one or two topics at a time. So for this week, we're just going to go with one topic and bridge off that. So, Zelda. News that Nintendo is making something new. It's been all over the news lately that Nintendo is hiring for some type of Zelda-related project. What could that be? I feel like it really could be anything, but does it matter? In any case, it's a new Zelda project. So it's something Zelda for us to do. Play, enjoy, speculate about, get mad that it's not what you want, and still like it in the end. Most of the time. So, let's discuss the couple of things it could be. One, new Zelda game for the Switch. That's probably what most people are hoping. Two, remake or HD remastered of a prior Zelda game. And when I say remake or remaster, it could either be a like Twilight Princess or Wind Waker on the Wii U, where they made it look better, up the resolution bit. It looks really nice. Or a remake where they do something on the lines of like Samus for the 3DS, where they took Metroid 2 for the Game Boy, Samus's Return, I think it's called, and remade the game for a new console. So it's not really the same game, but it's based off that game. So that's an option. The other thing, maybe a mobile game. I don't know how they do their mobile games, if they just have an outside company do them all, or if they actually build something in-house along with that company. So maybe a Zelda game for the phone. I would hope not. But you never know. It may not be a Zelda style game, but it could be a game based off of Zelda in some way. So the other thing it could be is the next Zelda game, not necessarily for the Switch, maybe the 3DS, or maybe not for the 3DS. Maybe a portable Zelda game like you would find on the 3DS, but for the Switch. Now, that would be interesting. So those are the things that it could be. And then they could be the final door where, who knows? Nintendo could just come out of nowhere and say, yeah, we're making a weird Zelda game that's not based off Zelda in any way, but we wanted to call it Zelda. Who knows? All right, so let's start with the first part of this. Is it a sequel to Breath of the Wild? So is it a main Switch game? When I say main game, I basically mean that, for the longest time we had Zeldas on consoles and Zeldas on handhelds. So you got your portable Zeldas, which tended to be more 2D Zeldas like you'd find before Ocarina of Time, and then the console Zeldas tended to follow the 3D view of Ocarina of Time and up. So, are we looking at a Switch game that is a console-style Zelda based off this Breath of the Wild? So, is it maybe doing a Majora's Mask type of deal, where they're taking everything that they have in Breath of the Wild, and maybe some event happens that causes a lot of the stuff to change and adds new dungeons or new puzzles or something that has to change with a new storyline. So maybe it's been 100 years more since this battle, or no, maybe it's been a few years and something is brewing. It's uh not necessarily Ganon coming out to destroy Hyrule, but maybe a group of dark wizards who want to resurrect Ganon is causing commotions, and they've brought back dark evil that has swarmed across the land. And in those 10 years, Hyrule has prospered. New towns are up. More people have moved in. More things are in between the dead spots. So now Hyrule is even more vast, more populated. So old places that used to be ruins are now cities. And then maybe some of the old cities have been abandoned because of the newer, bigger cities. Hyrule is built up again. And then you find yourself 10 years later, 15 years later, maybe 10. So that way the characters don't look much different. Um, and they've now have to deal with this new evil. They have unlocked this ancient magic that's been sealed away, that has unlocked new puzzles or actual dungeons that they didn't have instead of the divine beast. And you must go on this new journey to, you know, set Hyrule free once again. Maybe there's any type of scenario that has caused peril for the people of Hyrule. So that would be cool. It'd allow them to do a game quicker, maybe. Why they have another team focused on the engine, the world of the next Zelda game. I think that would be the best bet. So we're not waiting 4 more years for another Zelda game. Maybe a year and a half to 2 tops, hopefully. I mean, if it's any longer than 3, they might as well just build it from the ground up. So that would be cool. Something like that. I would definitely play Hyrule again if they added like 7 more towns throughout the like actual big towns throughout the Hyrule, and then like a dozen small little areas that are new. New mini games are there. New travelers, new people, and then new ruins that have built up or been discovered because the population have built more towns and they started digging in places and they found new ancient ruins that are just there to explore. That would be cool. Now, if it is for the next game, what do we want for the next game? Because if they're not going to base off the same engine and the same world, it's going to look different again. So do we want them to go this same kind of art style where it's very detailed, cartoony, with a slight realism, I guess? Or do you want them to go full out Skyrim? I don't want them to go full out Skyrim. I think Breath of the Wild was a perfect like middle ground for people that want it realistic, but still looks like Legend of Zelda. So I think they found their art style, but how do you improve on that and make it look even better? Do you get even more detailed, but keep that style? And if you're going to keep that style, let's just base the next game off that place. And then, if it is a new game, you're redesigning Hyrule over again. But you have a perfect world that is so vast that you can add so much to it to make it a whole new game that I think a sequel to Breath of the Wild is a better idea for first off. And that will give you an extra 3 years to work on a whole new sequel and give us a game while we wait. So, 2 years from now, that's 3.5 years since the last game. And now that gives you another 3 years on top of that for an actual full-on new game. So 6 years from the last game. So I think that would fill a nice little chunk and allow people to enjoy the world, because I would love to explore what would change in 10 years if a bunch of people have moved in. All the little kingdoms, however you want to describe them, as the water, fire, have grown and made their areas bigger as well. So that's where I would like to see them go. Sequel to that, set maybe a couple years later, and the whole place has grown, and because of that, they've discovered new ruins that have been buried under the ground. Maybe rock features that you knew about when you explored were actually, entrances to old ruins that were just buried, that were recently discovered. I think that's a good way to go. All right. So we'll move from that, and we'll go on to the fact that maybe it's a remake, or let's go remastered. what game would they remaster? I think they've already done Twilight, Zelda, Wind Waker. I don't think I would pay again for the games if they just ported them over to the Switch. Would they need to hire people to port them over? I'm not a game designer, programmer, so I don't know. But let's go that route first for the remaster, and then we'll work our way backwards. So if they're going to release those onto the Switch, a dual pack would be nice. $60, get both games, boom, right there. One cartridge, no downloadable for the second game. I would buy that for $60. Especially with the GameCube adapter now, I could play them with GameCube controls. That would be awesome. Um, and that could be out. I don't know how long it would take, but the fact that they've been getting out all kinds of other ports from Wii U, I think porting a Zelda game over the Wii U is a very quick decision for them, and that could be out within no time if they haven't already been working on it. But if they're already working on it, they wouldn't have hired somebody. So I think that is still probably a possibility, but that's probably not related to their hiring of us as of late. So if they did that, I would buy it. I wouldn't be angry if they announced that. But that's probably not what the hiring's for. So Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I've never beat that one. I got it late after it came out, and then I never got around to it. So I can't really say much about the game. But from what I played, it was okay. It felt too linear at first. I don't know if it changes at first, but then stuff came up and I got away from it. But could they be porting that over? That is probably a high possibility because they remastered the other two. They haven't done that one, and that's one of the second newest, or the last one since Breath of the Wild. So that is probably a full out $60 remaster that they could be working on, but I don't think they need to hire somebody for that one as well. I'm not sure. All right, now we get to the meat. Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. That they may have to rebuild from the ground up if they wanted to put it on the Switch. So that they could be hiring for, I think, because they'd have to redo it for the Switch, and that would be cool because I could still use the GameCube controller. It wouldn't be like the N64 controller, but it'd still be nice. I played Lord of the Rings, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time on the GameCube most of my time, and the GameCube controller worked fine. So that is probably more realistic of what they might want to remaster. I think that still is a big call. Yet would they want to do that if they were putting it on their NES Classic? Probably, because it would be a remaster and it wouldn't be the original, and it wouldn't just be a port of the ROM. Maybe they redo the textures, in HD, add a little bit more detail, kind of like what they did with 3DS, but even better. That's the one I'm hoping for if they're going the remaster route. The other thing, maybe they're doing a special edition of like the Legend of Zelda 1 for the NES, where it looks more like a Link to the Past design, kind of like how Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 were the All Stars edition, looked way better than Super Mario 1 for the Nintendo. Now, if they would have did that for the Legend of Zelda 1 and 2 for the Super Nintendo 2, that would have been awesome. So, how cool would it look if they redid Legend of Zelda 1 with HD graphics, but 2D Link to the Past style design? That would be awesome. It's probably not what they're doing, but if they did announce that, I'd be like, all right, I'll try the game out. Even though they do have the NES offerings on their online service, it wouldn't be the same game. So, $30 for a Link to the Past looking detailed, Forward Swords looking detailed, but the original game with maybe some added features because they're remastering, I could go for that. All right, could it be any of the GameCube one? I mean, the portable ones? Maybe. I've never really played many of them. I played the Minish Cap, Four Swords, like those two. Never really played the other ones. So I'm not really sure where to go in that. Look, if you guys have an idea, leave a comment and point me in the direction of some of the portable ones that are nice. All right. So if it's not a remake, a remaster, not a main game, how about a new Legend of Zelda game portable? That's probably a high possibility too, but I feel like they probably would have already been working on that as well. But let's say they haven't, and let's say that's what the hiring's for. That'd be a great idea because they have a fan base who buy the portable version, who still want to play the 2D style Legend of Zelda. So, what do you do with it though? If the Switch is their home and their portable console, but they're still making 3DS bundles, consoles, releasing them, games are still coming out for it. Do you put it on the Switch? I mean, do you put it on the 3DS? Or do you release it on the Switch as their portable game series? So maybe it's a $40 game, not a $60 game, because it's a portable version that they want. It's not the main series game. Kind of like how the Pokemon game isn't the main game. It's like the updated version of Yellow, but on the Switch. But they're releasing that at full price. So they may still release it at a $60 price tag, but I don't think so. I would hope not. So if it's a Legend of Zelda game, it's the portable version. So it's more like Four Swords, Link to the Past, on the Switch for $40. I'm in. If that's what they're hiring for, that would give you a Legend of Zelda game to play on your Switch that isn't the big 3D open world, but it would still be a great announcement. Um, but they could release it on the 3DS as well. There's, I mean, Luigi's Mansion, Captain Toad, they're still putting games on the 3DS. So I don't know if they know if they're replacing the 3DS yet, or if they just look at it as two different handhelds, a cheaper price range, a higher end range, and they want to keep both those markets alive. So it could be on the 3DS, which I don't think I'd play it. I think I'd play it on the Switch more often because I like playing on the big screen TV. I like the size of the screen, and I don't think I'd want to play a Legend of Zelda portable because it's a role playing game, adventure game. I want to sit there, relax, and play. It's not a quick and pick up game to me. So I think that's why I've really stayed away from a lot of the portable Zelda games. Um, Speaking of that, Ocarina of Oracle of Seasons and Ages, that'd be cool if they remastered that for the Switch with HD graphics, new textures, make it even more up to date. I did play that one a couple times and I like that. That would be cool. I could see them. That'd be fun. So that'd be a good a good remaster from the past that not many people talk about. But for the 3DS or the Switch, I think the Portal one is probably really likely to be the next Zelda game we get. Not a main console one, but what it's for, I would hope it's for the Switch or maybe both. And then they can see which one's selling more for them portably. Is it better to release their portable games on the Switch where you can already play at home or bring it with you? And especially if they ever release like a Switch Mini, which is small enough to be in the price range of the new 3DS and just as portable, I'd be on board for that. All right. So we talked about the main consoles, the remakes, remaster, portable edition of Zelda for the 3DS or the Switch. So, I mean, that leaves us with cell phones. Could they be looking to make a Legend of Zelda cell phone game? But what would it be? Um, I highly doubt that that's the direction they're going for. But if they were, off Nintendo's brilliant minds, what they like to do, it probably would be a game that's less like uh, Legend of Zelda's adventure story based world, and probably more like Nintendo Land Legend of Zelda kind of game. Um, in Nintendo Land, if you guys never played it, there's a Zelda based kind of game that your me dresses up like Link and goes around and saves the day and quick levels. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It is very fun. and you don't really move the guy. The guy moves himself, and you're just shooting your bow and fighting with your sword and blocking with your shield. That I could definitely see them doing on a handheld. It would be a quick game that you could play, a couple minutes, tapping the screen. The game does its moving for you. That would be fun. I liked it for the Nintendo Land, but they've already made it, so I don't see why they would need outside help unless they just all their people are working on their new games and they need some new hires to help round out the team that they're building for that. That'd be a great addition. I would pick up that better than Mario Run. It would be a lot more, it'd be a lot more enjoyable, I think, and it really would be easy to play on a touchscreen because one side of the screen can be your block, one side of the screen can be your attack or shoot, swipe up to block or something. So it would be easy controls that would make it fun. I doubt they're going that route, but I hope Nintendo's listening. Yeah, all my subscribers. Uh, that would be a good way for Nintendo to get Zelda on the phone. Just take their Nintendo Land structure that they built for that Zelda game and switch it over to the phone with new levels, actual Link, all the baddies. If you guys haven't played it, try it on the Wii U. It's fun. I'd imagine if you play Legend of Zelda, you probably had a Wii U, but if you didn't, they're cheap-ish. Not really. Find someone you know that has it and try out the game. Or watch some videos to see what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll put a clip right here. Alright, so that would probably be the only thing I could see on the phone. I can't think of any other style they would go. Unless, you know, it'd be cool. Hear me out on this one. So all the mini games Legend of Zelda ever had, for like Ocarina of Time with the bombs and shooting the arrows, imagine if they took all those mini games and just put them on an app, a Legend of Zelda app. Like Legend of Zelda mini quest, adventures or something. And what you're doing is you can play all the mini games from Legend of Zelda. It's like right now I can only think of like the Ocarina of Time ones, but shooting the rupees as they're going by, using the bombs that go up the wall to get your target, things like that. You buy the app, you get 5 of them for free, and then you can buy the new ones because obviously they want to make money. The fishing apps, things like that. I think that would be a cool little phone app as well. Quick and easy to play, high scoreboards, things like that. Yeah, that'd be cool. And then from any of the newer games as well, I just can't think of them off the top of my head. I like that. All right, so what else could there be? If Nintendo's hiring Zelda people, they have something in mind. And I don't think there's really anything else to look at. They're either making the next game, which could take 4 to 5 years, if they're just hiring now. They're remaking a game, which is why they're probably hiring people because the other team is probably working on the next Zelda game, which is hopefully a sequel to Breath of the Wild, so we get it quicker. And then it gives them longer time to master the new mechanics because obviously they want to make the new Zelda game a completely different experience. So they'd have to redo everything that they learned from the other game and find new things for their, controlling, their gravity, all their mechanics, because they'd want it to be different. And that takes them time. And why they're trying to figure that out, they should have another team making the sequel to Breath of the Wild. Could they be taking an old game? Possibly. Could they be making a cell phone? I think that's the lowest on the list. Watch me be wrong, and that's what the next direct's about. But I don't see any other options that they could be doing that they would need to hire designers or developers or anything, programmers for the next Zelda game. So I think that leaves us at this. We're probably still a year out before we hear about a new Zelda game. I hope I'm wrong. Unless it's a remaster. If it's a remaster or a remake of an old game, we hear about it soon. And then release sometimes next year. So, either way, I think we'll be getting Zelda news soon. It's just which one you're looking for. And that's about it. So, I think for this week's podcast, this one topic, I think that's going to close us out. Um, Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Check me out at my podcast at podcast.com, the Video Game Archives, the podcast, on my YouTube channel, Video Game Archives. Check out my other videos if you're on my YouTube. And thank you guys for listening and watching. You have a good night. Keep on gaming. And leave a comment on what you think this whole Zelda news could be leading up to. All right, guys. Have a good night.